What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have a Datura trip report for you. The title of this trip report is Space Cowboy Rides a Wild Stallion, and was submitted to Earwid in 2001 by the user Singing Cowboy. With all that being said, let our story begin. Let me begin by stating that I am a pure, 100% corn-fed redneck cowboy. I am a 32-year-old male with a bit of a wild side. Apart from a fast horse and a well-tuned guitar, I am certain that the one thing that I enjoy is a unique experience. This was by far the most unique of them all. Friday Eve, 6:20 p.m. I just finished preparing an elixir of nutmeg in the following manner. 3 whole fresh nuts, grated finely with a spice grater, then placed in 2 cups boiling water and a ½ ounce of white vinegar. The heat was then turned on to a low simmer until about 7.5 ounces of liquid was left. This liquid was gently sloshed about the pan to dissolve the white powder that had formed around the edges. I then filtered this mix into a clear glass mug using an empty tea bag and a funnel with a rubber band. Oh, the sheer genius of it all. Anyway, I then drank half of my nutmeg tea, and the taste was bitter but not totally prohibiting. I immediately slammed the rest and popped an ephedrine 325 milligrams to ensure that I would be awake to enjoy the fruit of my labor. By 7:30 p.m., I was feeling a definite difference in my state, but I could not really describe it. I was not buzzing, but I certainly was not baseline either. I picked up my guitar and began to strum, and by 8:40 or so, I began to realize that at some point I had stopped playing my guitar and was just sitting in a chair with it in my lap. I distinctly remember beginning to play Hotel California when my little one-man jam session started, but I don't know if I finished the song or not. This made me feel a bit odd, but I took consolation in the fact that it was only 8:40 p.m. Thus, only an hour had passed. I walked about the house at this point, searching for something I knew I must and eventually could find, but I have no clue what it is or why I am looking for it. By the time I satisfied myself that the mystery item I sought was not to be found in the house, it was 11:15 p.m. I was feeling a strange, light, airy feeling, and then all hell broke loose. I just entered the Twilight Zone. A bit more history is in order here. I have used some outstanding cannabis and experimented with crank, and some small doses of acid, so I am not a virgin to the altered states. However, I am not exactly a tripper either, and my experiences were limited to this point. I then did the absolute most ignorant thing I have ever done in my life. I went to my trusty cupboard in the garage and withdrew a bottle containing Jimson weed seeds that I planned to experiment with, when I developed the nerve, and I helped myself to about 1/4 teaspoon of the seeds. By 2 a.m., I began to realize things were not normal by any standard. I noted this when the room began to close in around me and the seat of my chair began to sink into the bowels of the earth. I ejected myself from the chair to find that the room that used to be 18 feet by 26 feet had barely enough room for me to stand in. I chose the only logical response to this and ran outside where I could breathe. I found myself in the middle of the yard, 15 acres looking at the clear night sky. I saw a zillion stars and felt an inner peace and silence that can only be described as a religious experience. Each star suddenly had a purpose and a meaning. The cool grass beneath my feet was suddenly alive and deserved to be. And most of all, I was a part of it. The great scheme of things was right there in front of me, as if a great door had somehow been opened to reveal that there was a meaning to life, and each living thing and each unliving object had a common thread, and were balanced in their own way. I reluctantly went back inside to discover it was 4:25 a.m., and it had only been seconds since I went out. Or was it days? I fell asleep listening to some classical music and woke at 9 a.m. feeling like $1,000,000 plus tax. And then it dawned on me that the feeling of serenity was still there. I went out to begin my daily chores of feeding the animals and such, and found this to be a real pleasure. I felt like I understood them in a weird sort of way. I found a great compassion and empathy for them. The morning sun was an awesome sight and feeling as it soaked into my skin. It has been 4 days since my ride on that wild steed, and I must tell you, the feelings are far from gone. But they are wonderful feelings, fortunately. I will state the following. I did a dangerous thing in an altered state by mixing in the Jimson weed. I realize now that the events could have easily turned tragic. I in no way condone the combination I consumed, as it is potentially fatal. I was fortunate enough to have had a pleasant experience. One thing I do condone is a good horse, a well-tuned guitar, and living life to its fullest potential by finding the door that this experience opened up for me. Whether you find it at the local health food store or growing in your own backyard, find it. It is an incredible discovery. I am not sure how long this feeling will last, but the memories of it will be eternal. Well, I am off to record some more music with the band. Damn, it's wonderful to be alive. Hey, do me a favor, y'all, and don't let the record company hear about this, okay? It will be our little secret. Grin. And the next time you feel like the world is on your shoulders, open that door. I bet there's a song in that. Keep listening, folks. I'll see what I can do. Most sincerely, Singing Cowboy.